Hello, and welcome back to another encouraging, inspiring, and including episode of the Achieving Unity Leadership System, AULS. It is our weekly podcast where we help turn chaos into connection and purpose into action. I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Leadership System, which is available at www.achievingunity.com. It is dedicated to all leaders, personal and professional, in improving their lives through encouraging, inspiring, and including others. EII, encouraging, inspiring, and including. We must remember that unity is not a soft skill. It is a true leadership discipline. Today, I am honored to introduce Giovanni Maccarrone, who has a unique ability to help people see what is often hidden. Those internal beliefs and patterns that can quietly hold us back. He works with professionals and leaders to align who they are with what they do so they can create real, lasting results. This is going to be a thoughtful and powerful conversation about personal leadership, clarity, and what it truly means to move forward with purpose. As we listen today, we're invited to see not just the challenges that we could face, but the potential that exists when people are encouraged, inspired, and included in building a better future together, achieving unity. But first, before we delve into this insightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focused Dynamics, where it all began. Excuse me. As you can see on the first slide, Achieving Unity Leadership System podcast, let me slow down, has real conversations for leaders that are navigating division, frustration, and change. Next slide. There you go. Thank you. Leadership, sometimes it feels harder than it should, especially anymore in the world that we have. Disconnection is growing. Frustration is draining people and the teams that we belong to, the teams that we lead. Good intentions are colliding with real world pressure. As I mentioned, unity is not a soft skill. It's not about just being nice. Unity is about a leadership strategy to help us all grow together, build together, and achieve together in unity. What do we mean by achieving unity? Encouraging progress without enabling dysfunction. How many times have we seen things go through, but there's dysfunction at the end? Instead, we need to encourage each other, show what's right, show what's good, show what we're learning as we go along. It's about inspiring action without forcing agreement. How many times do you talk to people and they're just shaking their head? Do they understand? Do they understand the concept? Understand what you're saying? We want to make sure that we're not forcing agreement, but instead we are inspiring action and listening in return, listening in the dialogue. We want to make sure that we are including voices while maintaining accountability. It's not just about listening to everyone, let everyone go without accountability, without responsibility. No, we want to include those voices. We want to listen, but continue maintaining the accountability that goes along with it for all of us, right? Building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. That's what we need to do, one conversation at a time. Again, I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Reality Focused Dynamics and Achieving Unity Leadership System. I work with leaders, teams, and families that are navigating conflicts, navigating change, and navigating that complexity that seems to have grown so much in the past few decades. I help them move forward with clarity, understanding what we're doing, clarity about what we're doing. That unity, us working together, and sustainable action. That sustainable action means continuing that action, going forward for growth and benefit. So what we're going to talk about is focused. You see in a second with my logo, reality focused dynamics, success focused solutions. But we'll talk about how we facilitate on clear, unified, sustainable execution and delivery. That's the acronym that we have created as a trademark for our company. And you can reach me at 303 Focused, my phone number on your keypad, 303 FOCUSD. That's how you get to us also to achieving unity. Let's talk about that a little bit more in detail. Yes, focused. You see on the right, it's the logo. From left to right, reality focused dynamics. From top to bottom, success focused solutions. Well, what is focused? Well, first is to facilitate, make easier. That's what we do when we're facilitating something. That's that facilitation, making it easier. We create tough conversations, and we understand those tough conversations that build trust, honesty, caring, building on what we know each other can use and do. Facilitate on common ground and shared purpose. That's our foundation. We don't want to build a structure if we don't have a foundation to build on. That's that common ground. That's that shared purpose. C for clear, communication and agreements. Our agreements must be clear. Our communication, our collaboration must be clear. That's how we get focused. That's how we stay focused. The U is unified. Action across differences. We all have differences. We watch the same movies. Sometimes we go to the same college, same university, seen the same, but too many times we want to make sure that we're clear on what we're doing and where we're going forward, so we do see things the same. When I say the same, I mean unified. That's the U. Action across those differences as we learn what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're going forward. And I duplicate those and I share those because they're so important to be clear and to be unified. Because once we're clear and unified, we can become sustainable. And sustainable means results that last. Keep going over and over. That's sustainability that lasts in what we're doing. Then we want execution. Because once we facilitate on clear, unified, sustainable results, we have to execute to get those results. That execution is consistency, responsibility based on the actions that we take forward each and every time to provide the delivery that we all need, that inspired growth and lasting change. So again, let's stay focused. Call me, 303 Focus, 303-362-8733. I'd love to talk with you. And when I say I love to talk with you, I mean it. And I say contact us. Love to communicate, love to build. Let's promote clear, unified, sustainable action starting now. Reach out to explore more about our coaching, our courses, our workshops, or speaking engagements to promote unity in our leadership. Again, it's a defined discipline to be unified in what we do. Achieving unity is the path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and again, lasting change. In today's world of uncertainty, protection is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. So if you're looking at ways to work with your personally or with your company, working with the legals, working with legal issues, working with attorneys, I can show you a way how to do that very inexpensively and very positively to help you and your company, even in entrepreneurship, move and grow forward. Contact me. Go to my LegalShieldAssociate.com site and show you more about what we do to help you stay safe and protected in our world today. Upcoming conversations. This is a great guest today. We have more coming up. We have Maria Garaitanandia. It's a beautiful name. Garaitanandia. She's going to talk to us about entangling communications for empowered leadership and team success. That's coming up next week on April 8th. Then we have Chip Rome coming. STEM techniques, science, technology, engineering, and math, teaches us how new things work. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, helps us imagine what is possible, things we may not have thought of before. Chip will be here on April 15th. Teresa Suzurik, she'll be here on Performance Success Formula, successfully pursuing your passion. Again, that's on April 22nd. Come listen to Teresa. Then on April 29th, Mitch Creighton will be here. He works with travel. He talks about make memories, not regrets. How many wonderful vacations have we been on that we appreciate and don't regret it? But how many times did we not go on one and regret not going? That's what Mitch will be here to talk to us about. Oh, just quickly, a reminder, this happened to me once before. I just heard thunder in my background where I am. And one time I did have a power outage. So if mine goes out, we'll listen to Giovanni talk for a few minutes until I can get back on a reboot. Hopefully my power doesn't go out for long. But just want to warn everyone because I did just hear thunder in my background. But on the screen right now, again, we have how to learn more about Giovanni Maccarrone. His QR code on the left is his YouTube. He's a keynote speaker and high performance coach. That's where you can find out more about him on that QR code. On the right, you can connect with Giovanni Maccarrone with that QR code. Instagram, he is a speaker and high performance coach. Through Facebook, Giovanni Maccarrone. Through email, Inspire Yourself LC. He's a high performance coach at gmail.com. So Inspire Yourself LC at gmail.com. Feel free to email him, talk to him through Facebook and Instagram. And of course, please get in touch with me. Use my Reality Focused Dynamic, Success Focused Solutions. That's my QR code. Get with me. Find out more. I'd love to talk with you. Let's build. Let's grow. Coaching, consulting, courses, keynote speaking, and workshops. Let's build together to make unity work for all of us. And now, are you ready? I am. We're excited to welcome Giovanni Maccarrone, a leadership coach and performance expert who helps professionals break subconscious limits and unlock true sustainable high performance. Remember, he is a high performance coach. Through his work, Giovanni guides executives and high achievers to align their identity, their beliefs, and actions, moving from burnout and frustration to clarity, confidence, and meaningful results. His approach delivers practical insights and real transformation, helping each of us, helping individuals shift our mindset patterns to elevate performance and create success that feels aligned and sustainable. Would you please help me welcome Giovanni Maccarrone? Giovanni, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you again for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to see you and talk with you today.
Oh, very nice. You too.
Tell me real quick, as we get started, I'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself a bit, tell us a little bit about you, and then share a little bit about your journey and what led you to focus on helping people align who are with what they are, who align with who they are and what they do.
I'm Giovanni Maccarrone, keynote speaker and high performance coach. I help professionals and leaders, as you said, when they feel stuck or they feel frustrated or they feel disconnected from themselves. I find out what the subconscious beliefs are and I break them. The ones that hold them back to help them then feel confident, aligned in themselves, and very importantly, perform better in career, business, and relationships. And what's funny is I've always done this in a way since I was little. I mean, I remember even when I was little, girls would come up to me in elementary school and high school and just share what they were feeling. And I never thought anything of it. I just, connected with them, tried to understand them. and I just kind of helped the best way I could. I never really never thought anything of it. I thought maybe everybody experiences this. And then I was always into the self-help section. Like when me, my mom, and my sister used to go to the library or the bookstore, half the time you'd see little Giovanni in the self-help section, reading, how to feel better, how to train your mind, or how to, change your perspective, whatever it is. And I'd be like, going through it. But I never thought that would be possible to actually, live a life that way. I would just like an interest for me. And then I would even be analyzing my teachers, not what they were, not the material which I was like I should be focusing on, but the how they were presenting, how they were talking, their body language, and so forth. So I've always done that since I was little. So when I saw about the coaching profession in my mid 20s, I said, "This is exactly what I've been doing. This is exactly what I love." And then I took courses, and then I opened my business over a decade ago.
Sounds great. I can see that in you. I can see that help, how that you have found that your own experiences in your life has shaped the way that you now help and guide others in what you do. It seems many people are doing everything right on the outside, yet for many, something still feels off internally. Have you seen that your pattern helps in your type of work to relieve that issue inside of us?
Exactly. So many people are told how they should be, or they think they're, how they should be. And I'll give you a fast example. You sometimes hear about, health hacks or whatever. You know, um, eat these three foods and you'll feel better. And what I found, and maybe you found as well, and most people have found, is the right foods are right if they're for like the right foods for you. They're not right for everybody. So you might even have an intolerance to some foods, while other foods work best for you. We're told so often based on from our parents or teachers or social media, in this case TV in our time, um, society as a whole, of how we're supposed to be in order to get our needs met. And what I found is most of the time it's not true, and it actually gives you pain. And from a personal story, so my personality is already that I like to be myself. I like to be in alignment with who I am, what I value, my beliefs, and basically be myself.
Good.
Growing up, I was told by somebody basically that they loved me, but I had to act different because somehow being an active, confident kid with, pretty good grades and some friends wouldn't give me success. As I grew up and as I started understanding better, they're speaking from their model of the world. They they were never able to be themselves. They never chose to be themselves. They always chose to follow somebody else or something else. So they stay in a box. So in my head, I was always myself. Like I always like the first thing was myself, but I always had this thing in my head like myself, but I can't be successful being myself because this person told me A, B, and C. And the funny thing is, this person wasn't even successful. This person isn't even fulfilled at the levels I want to be fulfilled at. But I got these messages. I got these messages. So back to your question, what was it exactly? Because I remember it was very specific.
So how people feel things internally, and how have you seen that also in the work that you do?
They have say it one more time. They feel things internally.
It seems many people are doing everything right on the outside when
Okay,
we
right, yeah,
talk to them, when we see them on the street, when we're just wherever we might see them on a day-to-day basis.
yeah,
Yet we know that something still feels off for us, maybe for them internally. Have you seen a lot of that pattern in the work that you do?
100%. Most people run the pattern or patterns to try to be significant, like special, needed, wanted, and certain to feel like secure. And those are two of our six human needs. So we definitely do need to fulfill those. You need to fulfill them. The problem is most people put those as like number one and two, right? As opposed to what I teach about putting loving connection first, or in your top two. Loving connection means being loving connection within yourself and being passionate about what you do. There's also the need of growth, to always grow. Because if you're not growing in your business, in your career, and your relationship, you're dying. So it's to always grow, and then once you grow, you're able to contribute, right? And then the last need is the need of variety. Something that's different, new. It could be a podcast. It could be a new restaurant. It could be a new book. It could be having a conversation, something different in your business, something different in your career. You need that variety. But most people, especially in North America, they value significance first and significance first and certainty second. So people are giving you all these messages on how to be significant and how to be certain. And I could tell you from a little bit of my experience, but just everybody I've seen and people I've worked with, that's the recipe for disaster, basically. That's the recipe for not feeling fulfilled. Significance is you always want to, again, be special. So people get into careers because they want to be a somebody. People do businesses because they want to be a somebody. And it's crazy to me. An example for that is when they say, I said, why did you get into this career? And they said, I did it for my parents.
Yes.
What? You're spending like a 1/3 of your life, I read recently, not to mention the effort and the emotion, everything you put into it for your somebody else. It's because they want to feel significant. They want to feel proud in somebody else's eyes.
And that's one of the things I hear and some of the things that you're saying, that significance in some ways is a justification either to the other person or to themselves. They're trying to justify what they're doing that is good, that significance brings value somewhere, somehow, right?
It brings value in a sense. They get to feel good. They get to feel significant. And most people, the most common in the world, the most common pattern I've seen in the world is most people try to be significant, special, needed, wanted, because what they really want is the next need, which is love and connection.
Tell me more. When you say their next need is loving connection, how do you
Sure.
define that?
Love and connection is feeling connected with yourself, feeling love within yourself, and feeling loving connected with, let's say, other people, your community. Could be God for some people, nature, some kind of connection. So most people run the pattern of if I'm significant enough, like I have the coolest car, or I have this job, or I have this partner, let's say, or I look a certain way, or I have certain jewelry, and especially in the North American culture, probably more in the American culture with the achiever culture. Then people can't love but be like people can't help but be around me because they love me for what I do, right?
They
But
love you for what they know about you.
what they know about you, yeah, yeah, not for you,
Mhm.
what they know about you or for what you're able to exchange or give to them.
So when they're experiencing these things, or when we are experiencing these things, what do we think those moments are bringing to us? Like you're saying, it's that ability to be wanted, to be seen, to be recognized. So those actual experiences, what are they bringing?
All humans' biggest fear is that they're not enough and they won't be loved. So trying to be enough somehow, if you're achieving, if you have the coolest this or the most money, or if you're the biggest helper in the world and you sacrifice yourself to help other people, then you think you're going to get a loving connection. So that you're trying to ease, what you're getting is you're trying to ease the deepest fear that all of us have.
And when you talk about that love and connection, does that also seem, Giovanni, that we also have a lot of hurt from that lack of love, or maybe that love that we thought we felt at one time, but somehow there's a gap or maybe a break? Maybe that's in the connection and they've lost the love and that maybe have caused some hurt. How do we handle that?
That's a great question. So most people are hurt. Some examples are they loved somebody, but they didn't, that other person didn't love them back. Could have been a mother, father, anybody that was important in their life, especially growing up. So if you don't love me back, or if I think you don't love me, so it could be parents who are some are maybe alcoholics or have addiction, for example. Some are just focused on their work. Some have an avoidant pattern in themselves, so they don't really connect with their children, which a lot of us have experienced. And then the child, because they're egocentric, they think there must be something wrong with me. So
So
then
it
there's
sounds,
hurt. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, no, please.
Love is like oxygen for the soul. So if we don't feel like we're getting it, we do anything to try to get it. So the child
Love
that
is like oxygen for the soul. Sorry to interrupt you, but I like that what you just said. Love is like oxygen for the soul. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Sometimes we downplay that in society. Oh, I love it. No, love is like what everybody wants. It's like, again, oxygen for the soul. So when we're not feeling it, we'll basically do anything to get it. We'll try to be anybody. We'll shift ourselves, whatever it is, to try to be, again, significant enough to get that loving connection. It's it's a trade. Some people even do like a form of manipulation. Like I'll take care of you. I'll give you so much in such a significant way. I'll sacrifice myself and say that's all okay. So then you can't help but love. Or I'll work really, really, really hard to achieve. So again, I'm so significant. You want to be around me. So at least I get something, or at least I think I get something.
And then how many times do we know that we feel that way that, hey, I need to be around this person because they're important, but don't we also lose a little bit too with that because we're not feeling our own self-importance? We're maybe, hopefully, at least receiving some sort of importance from them, but how about going our own self-importance? Don't we lose a little bit there?
We lose a lot there. And going on that path is already you're already down the path of I don't feel love within myself, so I'm trying to connect with something or somebody and what I who I think is important or significant. And I actually wouldn't even say self-importance. I understand what you're saying. I would say self-love or self-esteem. And sometimes that's a sappy term in terms of people think, well, I love myself, I love myself. And that's not what I mean. By self-love, it's just being yourself. That's all it is. So I think the biggest pain, the biggest disconnect somebody has is when they don't feel the love that's naturally within themselves and they don't live that way. And by live that way, I mean, think of it as you do everything, or the highest value is you do things out of love and connection. So if you're helping somebody, you're not doing it because you're for a trade. You're not doing it for, because I feel like I'm such a good person when I do it. You do it because you feel full within yourself, the love within yourself, and then you want to help. No strings attached. That doesn't mean you sacrifice yourself. If you don't want to help, you don't help. But if you want to help, you help. If you want to be yourself, you're yourself. If you don't like, but you come from a place of your glass half full.
I like that idea too, and that's a positive one for me. From what I'm hearing you saying, though, Giovanni, is that it sounds like where awareness is where everything begins to be aware. Have you found that many people are not fully listening to themselves?
That's a great question. So I think some people hear themselves and they try to push it down, right? Because that's the model they got growing up. Like, do what I love? No, no, no. I've always wanted to do what I love, but no, 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 no. Because I mean, how am I going to make any money doing that? The need of certainty. Or, I'm going to be just this profession, for example. So they push that down. So I think deep down, almost everybody knows, or most people know what they really want and what they really feel.
I
And
like
sorry,
what
if you
you're
say the
saying.
question, go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, so the awareness is half of it. So sometimes there's meditation and so forth, and the awareness is great. I just think that's one piece of the puzzle. The awareness, and then now it's actually figuring out why you run those patterns. Once you figure it out, what needs you're trying to meet by running those patterns, then you can find easier, more natural ways to meet those needs. So you don't have to run those patterns anymore.
Okay, when you talk about those patterns, are we talking about comfort levels, areas where we've been the times, and the areas where we feel more comfortable? Tell me about when you're saying those patterns.
Yeah.
Share that a little bit further, if you would, please.
So we all run on patterns. So when somebody says, when I say, you think you're the achiever, they go, no, I've always been this way. Maybe not. Now, some people are naturally achievers in the sense they want to achieve, but the pattern of trying to achieve to feel significant and then somebody can love you, that's a pattern that you learned. It's not who you are. It's a pattern you learned. That's why I
Is it
say,
who you is it who you choose to be in that pattern? Or are you saying some of those patterns are not chosen? They're given to you or received from someone else.
at some level, at some time, you made a decision to take that on, right? There's subconscious mechanisms why you probably did that. You got loving connection for it, you got significance for it, you got certainty for it when you felt very uncertain in your life, whatever it was. Um, but
So
you
if you
still
don't
made
have
the
that,
decision.
so if you don't have that loving connection, are you feeling distancing? Is that what I'm hearing?
If you don't allow yourself to feel the natural loving connection, you start to value significance and certainty. Does that make
So
sense?
it does. And if you're not listening to yourself, what's getting away from that internal dialogue? Are we still talking about the culture again, the way we're raised, those patterns you're talking about? What's getting in the way of our own internal dialogue that we do that and why we go those directions?
That's a great question. So I always say there's influence around us. There's parents, school, social media, culture. At the end of the day, it's you decide if you want to live that way or if you want to be yourself, right? I mean, the outside world, the external world is a strong influence. But again, if you when you learn, this is what I teach my clients, when you learn the needs, we all need loving connection. Okay, for sure. But the way you're trying to get it, like if you're saying loving connection means I have to be friends with everybody, or most people have to like me, then that's a belief, and you're going down a certain road that's giving you pain. When loving connection becomes loving connection with myself first, that's easy or that's simple because it's within yourself. And another thing I say is, as long as you have your group of friends, if it's two or three friends or whatever you call your group, like that's the connection. So now that becomes a much easier path.
Well, when you talk about that group, some of the things that I talk about are groups or parties or teams that go well together, but do they also push others away or push others apart when they have that group? How are they being inclusive as they create that group and that loving and that connection? You don't have to be liked by everyone, but how small or large is that group going to be?
Well, I guess it depends on the person. That's a good question. Depends on the person. And it's not so much about exclusivity. I believe, again, my belief is that people who actually really get you, who could actually really open up to, is probably a small number of people, generally speaking. It doesn't mean about being exclusive. It's levels. For example, there's acquaintances or friends, and then best friends, and then people who you would say anything to. For example, the point is more don't think that everybody is your close friend, or don't try to make everybody your close friend, or don't try to make everybody try to like you. Life usually isn't like that. It doesn't have to be. That's why I'm saying as long as you have, at least for starters, your two or three best friends or whatever it is, that's the base. And then obviously other people you can obviously have in your community or group at whatever level you want.
And I like what you're saying because you're going to have closer friends. There's no doubt about it. There's some people you're going to connect with. The patterns are going to be parallel. They're going to be very close to each other. But can we also listen to others outside the group that maybe we don't even get along with to start with? Not that we're all going to be part of that same group, but that ability to listen and learn outside of our few best friends and maybe pick up a little bit more of what we're doing and how we can get along with others, not necessarily best friends, but still to listen more and learn more about those outside of our circle.
Yeah, so especially with the you want to call it polarity, especially in the U.S. political landscape currently, or just in life in general. There's a lot of division like that. And I think that's what you're referring to and saying, no, we could actually learn from other people. And of course we can. Of course, yeah. So I think it's to not confuse like, okay, this is our tribe and like you're away from there. That's not I guess what I'm saying, I'm saying you just have your close friends. And then obviously you can learn from all different groups and all different people as well. I agree with that. Yes.
Oh, that is so good. I'm glad that's great because a lot of people that we see, they seem to be very successful on paper,
Yeah.
but they're still very disconnected from themselves internally. Do you see that in some of the people that you work with?
That's probably the biggest piece I see in the people I work with, right? So this usually comes in your 20s. You might feel good, like you're, starting at the company, you have a suit on, or whatever it is, and you're making money. Like you actually probably feel good in your 20s doing this.
Powerful.
You feel powerful, exactly. You feel significant. You feel certain. Those two things. You're the boss of this, or you work at this, place or whatever. You're making, you were making $1,000 working before a month. Now you're making $5,000 or $6,000. You gain sales. You're getting promoted. Woo! I feel significant. So I'm all about doing what you love and making as much money as you want doing it. Okay, so I'm not the coach that says just do what you love. Do what you love and make the most money you want doing it. So I do support money, but not as a money thing, as a like they're just part of it. When you do so good and you give value, you make money. So I thumbs up to money, or thumbs up to results, basically. But when someone's going, okay, money makes me feel significant, that's where the disconnect and the pain happens. So as we were saying, in your 20s, you feel powerful, you feel good. In your 30s, you're happy that you have that job because it could provide for your family, and for especially for men, for the life they're building with, let's say their wife and their kids, and whoever it is, or just for themselves. People tend to start feeling the pain about in their early 40s, right? Because there's physiological changes that happen as well, where people come in, they start saying, I don't know what's happening. I feel disconnected. I feel stuck. Basically, it's worked for them for all this time, more or less. But now they're saying, what do I really want? And so you can see this in men. You can see this very clearly in women, especially in their late 30s into their early 40s. What do I really want? And for women, now, nowadays they're taught to be, boss babes, especially the new generation, or, work in corporate or whatever. And if that's who you are and that's what you love, 100%, all perfect for anybody. But if you're doing that because you're trying to, like, have an image based on society, that's when in their 40s they come to me and start saying, I feel disconnected. I feel like I'm not being myself. I'm not doing what I want, because they were never doing what they really want.
Hey, Giovanni, that's a good point because so many times those patterns that you've talked about that we learn, and you mentioned when we're working in the 20s and maybe even sometimes in high school, that first job, and we're making that minimum wage and that we feel powerful and we're growing, and we go to college and we have our college degree, we go to work, here's the mom and dad, here's the children, here's that routine, that pattern. And then we get to our 30s, like you say, in the 40s, kids are growing, some of them are grown. Now we're theoretically out on a new path, a new world, things are different. There's a change. And sometimes is that when we don't pause to listen still to ourselves, but maybe we're arguing with ourselves about, well, that's what I was taught to do. Like you're saying, for mothers, they're taught to be, that's what they have to be as a mother. That and some of them have learned that, well, that's all I have to be as a mother. That's what I have to do because that's what I was chosen to do, instead of being a mother and something else to
Yeah,
get out of that pattern. So I think what I'm hearing you say is that pattern that we've learned from being young, from our culture, other people coming along, when we're in our 30s or 40s, the kids are getting out, maybe we have that time to pause and listen to ourself more so we can continue down that path if we want to, but it may not be aligned, or we can create a new path, can't we?
of course, always. And the new path that, some people think it's new is actually not new. It's just yourself. It's just going back to yourself. Now, I mean, obviously, you take the steps, whether it's joining whatever community, with joining whatever activity, starting whatever business, or whatever you do, or maybe a new career path. It might even be a similar one, but it's like a very slight change in it. Um, so yeah, it's basically, that's why it's mindset. It's basically getting back to who you really are, what you really
So
value, and then now taking the steps.
I like what I'm hearing you say, Giovanni. That's excellent. How do you help people recognize that earlier?
Right. I want to say you can't, in the sense people have to be ready for it. People have to come to you with pain and be like, oh, I can never, like, this has been, so painful for all these years and so forth. Now, obviously, I could offer, if they say, someone in their 20s and they go, okay, I'm working in this business and I feel so powerful, whatever it is. And I might say, okay, that's great. And I'm telling you now to go into something you love because I've seen this pattern before. And then in your late 30s and into your 40s, you're going to regret this and you're going to start, making different decisions. So do it now is what I would say. Whether they take it or not, again, it depends on how much pain they're currently in. And if they're going woo, they're probably not in that enough pain at that point.
And that's where we can continue working together because that's where I help people that it's never too late. But the later you wait, the more challenging and tougher it gets. So we want to make sure, like you're doing, to help people see that because if they don't know, if we don't know there's a place to turn, we can't turn. If we don't see that why in the road, we're going to go the same way everyone else has gone, aren't we?
Yes. Again, until your 40s, until there's enough pain, you start looking around. Start going, what else is there?
Mhm. So once someone begins to listen to themselves many, many times, they listen to themselves and reflect. Have you found that that clarity that you help people work with starts to form naturally?
Yes. So that's part of it. So when they, like you said, listen to themselves or have awareness, things become more clear. And working with a coach, a top coach, let's say, or a top professional, if it's me or if it's you or whoever, to now help them figure out the other pieces. So they might say, I know I'm feeling pain in this. I know I actually value that. And then what do I do? Like what's going, and then so you could, as a coach, let's say me or you, or a professional like me or you, could say, okay, well, you've been doing this because you want significance and now you want love and connection. Okay, you know that. I'll show you a way to do that in a way that you get to do what you love and make, let's say, a lot of money doing it. So I think
I
you
love
usually need that coach or that professional to now help you with the next steps.
I love what you're saying. That is so true, and help them take that next step because you being such a high performance coach, the value that you bring, helps them because it seems that many people struggle to put those thoughts into clear direction. And I can see you helping them define what they truly want based on their needs, right?
Yes, based on their needs and values. Yes,
That's great because sometimes it's more difficult for people to be honest with themselves than we realize. They can think about being honest with others,
right.
but being honest with ourselves can be challenging at times because there's always that balance, that fulcrum that, well, yeah, I can do that, but I could also do this, right? And how can they come to you, or me, but how can they come to you and be able to make that next step, to begin that path, start a new pattern, to do what they wanted to do, whether they're 30, 40, 50, or beyond?
For sure. People are honest with themselves more so when they're in a lot of pain and they're ready to do something different. So I don't work with anybody or everybody.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is I make sure they're ready because my business is built on results, and the goal is to get the results for you and for me. So
Mhm.
if someone's not 100% ready, that's okay. We'll schedule another day and time to follow up on that.
Mhm.
So when they're ready, some people say, like, some people are honest, and I go, that's great honesty. And they go, well, you know what? If I'm here, like, I'm doing it, so they're in that stage, number one. Number two, people are honest when they feel more certain or more confident that you could help them, right? So let's say, you help with businesses, and I feel really confident with, you, Mark, that you could help, transform my business. I'll be honest and I'll say, okay, these are all the things I've done, and this is the mindset I've used, and all this kind of stuff. And I'll just give it all to you because I feel comfortable. And then I know that you're going to translate that to say, okay, perfect. Now I'm going to show you what works. So it's their readiness and the comfortability to show them. So I'll give you an example. Have you ever met somebody who you know they were doing like the wrong thing, meaning they were hurting themselves, let's say in business or relationship, they were going out with the wrong guy or the wrong woman, and you could see this, and it's so clear to almost everybody they're going out with the wrong
It
person.
it seems obvious, but
Yes, and it probably is. Say it again.
I'm agreeing with you
Yes.
because people like that, they're doing the things wrong, and what they're doing wrong seems obvious to us, but let you continue on with what you were saying.
Yeah.
Because
So it's sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, it seems obvious to us. It seems obvious to see it, but why don't they see it?
So I think they do see it at a certain level. What they're doing is if this okay, so they're going out the wrong man, let's say. But before they met this man, they were feeling incredibly lonely, like very insignificant, very uncertain. With this man, even the story they tell themselves, even if it's not true, but the story they tell themselves about this relationship with this man is making them feel connected for the first time in who knows how many years, is making them feel special in some way. At least he calls me, or at least whatever, at least he gives me attention. It makes me feel certain. At least I know at least some kind of path that I'm going down. Now, if this person it was not meeting their needs before, and they're meeting their needs at high levels with this person, there's nothing you could say in that moment that's going to change that, or not quote unquote nothing you could say that's going to change that because they have to meet their needs. The only way is when they realize there's a lot of pain going on, that they're not meeting their needs anymore, and then you show them, okay, I know what you really want is love and connection. Do you want me to show you an easier way? Yes, please. You want to feel significant? Do you want me to show you in an easier way? Yes, please.
And I
that's
like what you're
that's one.
saying. Sorry to interrupt you here, but that's one of the things that you mentioned a couple of times, that word pain. And a lot of times we've heard that pain versus pleasure, we avoid the pain much more than we concentrate on the pleasure,
Yes,
right? That
yes,
pain is a much larger trigger.
yes.
And some of the things that I work on, and I work with male, female, mother, father, man, woman, and many times, as you're saying, that path, that pattern that they're on, that ability they have to talk to someone, that short-term release means something to them because it gives them that love, that reflection, that connection. But it may not be more than a pause. Where are they taking this feeling, this relationship to the next level? And going from what you're saying, taking into that love and that caring, how are they benefiting personally within inside themselves in those
By,
situations?
for example, by going out with the wrong person.
Or the person they're going out with gives them that little bit of positive, that little bit of, here's a pattern I like. That's what I'm getting a little bit of it here, but so much others is, well, I've got all this other part of my life doing all these other things, but here's this small part. That maybe a little bit of communication, a little bit of collaboration. Maybe I'm learning a little bit from this one person, but as far as a full relationship, maybe there's still a challenge. Do I hear you talk about some of the times that we do that? That connection is that loving connection is there, but it's on a small part. The pain of the rest of it is not large enough for them to change or to take that next step for a better pattern. What do you
Yes,
think?
exactly. Yeah, great question. So some people will, put up with, accept crumbs. When you're starving, you'll accept crumbs, right? Another thing is, and I do this with people who are in business, and I've seen this at least twice, maybe even at least twice with two different clients. They were with the wrong business partner. Why? So the business partner was ignoring their needs, was being selfish, and all those traits. Why were they with that person? Because the client, when they first came in, that's how they treat themselves. They ignore themselves. They treat themselves badly. They breadcrumb themselves. So now they connected with somebody who mirrors their subconscious view of themselves. because that creates certainty. So that's where we say, okay, well, why is that view like that of yourself? Once, and then they say, oh, because of these beliefs or these things that happen. Okay, so that's when we start breaking the beliefs, start breaking the patterns, and they say, oh my God, why am I with this person anymore? And going to be a business relationship. And then that's when, in my experience, my clients have, stopped being partners with them, and have this has happened at least 3 times, and has flourished after, because thanks to that.
And as you mentioned, those crumbs are important to those that are hungry. It may be a crumb to some people, but if you're hungry, that crumb may be their meal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then have we noticed that when people gain that clarity, the things that you bring to them to learn that it might be the wrong partner, but when they gain that clarity that you bring to them, doesn't their confidence begin to shift more positive as well?
Yes. Their self-esteem firstly, so they allow themselves to feel the love that's naturally inside themselves, and the confidence of I'm able to do what I want. Basically, I'm able to make happen my vision, right? So that's why, I had a client that was working for somebody else, and then they opened their own business. So obviously they're making more money, but it's what you were saying, they're more clear on who they are, what they want, and now they put certain action. Now they have their own business, they're able to hire their family, maybe their friends in the future, or whoever, their community, people in their community. So it obviously 100% it helps their confidence.
I like the way you do that too, because it sounds like once the clarity is present, that next challenge is knowing where to start. And it sounds like, Giovanni, that you help them. You help people break things down into those manageable steps and grow forward. Am I right?
Partly, so what I do is I'm the mindset guy. They either know what to do, or they could figure out what to do. I'm more the key that unlocks their mindset. Now, if there's certain areas that I could help them with, if it's communication, if it's understanding, it could be, business partners or potential business partners, or just anybody in their life, in a relationship, I help them understand this person. Okay, they could tell me, A, B, and C about this person. And just from that, I could get a profile of the picture. And I go, what I think is happening, or what I think this person is doing is A, B, and C. Do you want to have a relationship with this person? Do you want to get into business with this person? So that's where I'm able to help. In terms of the actual steps, that's not my forte, but they usually know what to do, or where to go to find what to do.
Get focused. I like what you're talking about because that's part of what it is being focused. And in reality focused dynamics, we focus on creating solutions based on what is real, not assumed. How does your work help people move from those assumptions to clarity?
Again, I think some people live in, if we want to call it delusion or not reality, because it meets their needs again. Right? So they grew up and they ignored themselves, but ignoring themselves, and they ignore themselves, and they say, no, because I'm just helping my family, or I'm just helping my brother, sister, friend, whatever, which may be also true, but they're ignoring the fact that they're sacrificing themselves to do this. They were put in a, not an unhealthy position to have to do this, but it meets their needs, or that's how they learned that it meets their needs in the moment. So they're going to do it, and they're going to make up excuses. So that's the delusion that happens with, a lot of us.
Mhm.
But when I show them that, okay, again, you just did this because you want to meet the need of significance, you want to meet the need of love and connection, you want to meet the need of certainty. That all makes sense. That's what you chose at that time and place. Good. Like, give yourself a pat on the back because you figured out what to do at that time. Might not be the best thing, but you figured out something to do. Now that you're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, you want to make a different decision now? Yeah, of course. Okay, I'll show you another way to do it.
I like that because it sounds like you have found that success becomes more sustainable when it's built on that truth and alignment. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes, and that's also what I help, both individual one-on-one clients, and then also in corporations. So when I go in and do a keynote speech at a corporation, at an organization, it's about sustainable performance. Okay, because when somebody is doing, or someone's valuing significance, they're pushing themselves, pushing themselves, pushing themselves. And that might sound good. And I believe in, going for what you want. But if you're pushing yourself with all this stress, what that leads to is burnout and costly turnover, which is very, very expensive for the company. I've read something like if I remember the stats correctly, it's like a 4,000 percent more they have to pay every time a new employee rolls over, like has to, quit or whatever, even if it's silent quitting. Um, so the sustainable performance is when you do something out of love and passion, for example, where you love what you do. So you're not stressed because you love what you do. I mean, obviously you sometimes work a little bit longer than maybe you should, or a little bit shorter, whatever it is, but because you're doing it out of love, it's a different fuel you use. And then when you notice yourself maybe getting tired mentally or emotionally, you're able to stop for the night or stop for the day, as opposed to pushing yourself and then leading to burnout and turnover.
And that's good too. I love what you're saying, Giovanni, because being able to know coaches like us that they have someone they can turn to relieve that stress, to have that stress shield, because it's such an impact in so many ways. It's amazing. I love what you're saying. So as we bring this conversation together, what would you want every listener to pause and reflect on after hearing this discussion?
Two things. One is you can be yourself and be successful doing it. And in fact, being yourself can help you be more successful because you love what you do and you're always learning and growing and contributing. And that's the basis for business, I believe.
So have you found that as a closing statement, have you found that when people truly align who they are with what they do, everything begins to change to improve?
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting how much it does change sometimes. Their relationships, their business, their career in ways they never thought, different decisions they make and so forth. And I want everybody to know that a lot of us are told to consciously tell ourselves something. Your subconscious beliefs are the drivers, not what you consciously try to tell yourself in the mirror or whatever. So it's your subconscious you address first.
Wow. Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you for joining us today and for sharing that experience, your heart, and your practical wisdom with our listeners and with me. I'm enjoying what you're saying, helping build on what you do, and as we help grow together. So, as we close on today's conversation, I think one thing becomes clear. Real change happens when that vision meets action. And when people come together with purpose, the purpose can be talking to Giovanni, talking to myself, but when you take that action and make it, help it go forward. So as we wrap up today's conversation, I sincerely want to thank Giovanni Maccarrone for sharing his thoughts, his insights and experience with us today. His message about alignment, awareness, and breaking through those internal barriers is something many people can relate to and learn from. Conversations like this help us all pause and reflect and take meaningful steps forward. So, for everyone listening, whether you're here live today or you're listening to this on the recording off of YouTube, if this conversation has resonated with you, I encourage you to connect with Giovanni and learn more about his work. Giovanni helps individuals and organizations grow by learning, by aligning who they are with how they lead and perform. So thank you for being a valued guest today, Giovanni, and Achieving Unity Leadership System, AULS, is our podcast, and for help us continue to turning that pain into purpose and that disconnection into unity. So as Giovanni spoke to us today, continue to communicate with Giovanni, either LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and visit his profile. On LinkedIn, I hope you took a picture of the QR code that he has earlier. If not, this full podcast will be available on YouTube at Mark Intrican before the close of business tomorrow, Friday. So go out there and get it. Go back and listen to it. Listen to what Giovanni has to say again, what we're talking about. Get a picture of those QR codes. Because as achieving unity, resonates with you, follow that feeling. Reach out and connect with me, www.achievingunity.com, www.markentrican.com, and connect with us. But until next time, let us continue to transform that complexity, as Giovanni was talking about, into execution, chaos into connection, and our purposes into action. Let us continue achieving unity. Giovanni, again, thank you so much for being here. I've enjoyed listening to you, sharing with you. Do you have any last words to say before we close for this day?
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to connecting with everybody that messages.
And we will. And I will make sure that we get this out, make sure everybody can watch it again, everybody can connect. We can all stay focused. Because some things Giovanni talked about is listening, listening to ourselves, listening with our own dialogue, and then writing it down. Write down what we're listening to, break it down, get it done for better collaboration and communication as we're all achieving unity by harnessing that power of encouraging, including encouraging ourselves, inspiring, including inspiring ourselves, and including ourselves in all of our thoughts and what we do as we include others to build better businesses, better lives, and a better world. Giovanni, thank you again for being here. This is Mark Intrican with the Achieving Unity Leadership System, reminding you that life is truly what we make it. Let us help everyone around us, be seen, to feel seen, heard, and supported in everyday moments, moments that truly matter, and make life awesome together in unity. Thank you all. Thank you, Giovanni, for your message and for showing us how to move past surface level arguments to find real solution. What's in our mind from yesterday, we can take to a better place tomorrow. Hope to see you all again next week with our next step in remembering unity is not a soft skill. It is a leadership discipline. Giovanni, thank you again. I know we'll continue working together. To our audience everywhere, please listen to Giovanni, listen to what Giovanni says, get in touch with him, and I hope to see you all again next week with our next step in remembering what we do is up to us. Let's make it awesome. Till then, cheers. Giovanni, that was great.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I like what you're sharing with people. I think that touch of what they do when they are turning 30, 40, 50 years old, at the 50 plus, there's a lot of us that what we've done all our life is no longer exciting. We want to take another path, find a new pattern. How can I help recommend you to others?
Well, who else do you know? So what I'm looking for, which the space I'm looking at now is, the fractional like HR space.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think that is a good space if you think so as well. Somewhere where they could recommend me to their business clients to get into corporate, for example, corporate businesses, where I could go in both for my keynotes, the high performance identity, and or to coach their staff one on one. And it could even be people who were top performers before, but now they're not. So I go in, I figure out what the drivers are, break the patterns, and then they could perform highly in a high way again and sustainable as well. So do you know? So what companies do you have in mind for that?
I have a large number of companies that I work with, and I do work with a lot of the HR because I think we follow the same pattern in helping people. HR is a lot of times built on certifications and all of the numbers and the details when they forget about, especially when people have been promoted. That's one of the things I work with quite strongly. Technical people that have been promoted or moved into management, but communication is different. The way they collaborate is a much different path than they were yesterday. And then being able to handle talking with the C-suite, CEO, CIO, CFO, COO, it's a difference in process. So what I can do is help you get in touch with more of them and mention your name and what I do, because there's no way that I can solve everybody's problem. There's no way you can solve everyone's problem. Sometimes it takes someone else, as
Okay.
small or large as it might be. So that is awesome. But Renee, I see your hand up.
There might have been a mistake. She
You
did
may
say
have.
there was a power outage.
Oh, okay, good. Well, it did end on time, which was good. So good deal.
Yeah,
All right, Giovanni, I'll let you go also, but thank you so much. I appreciate it,
you're welcome.
and we'll
And would you
continue
like
to
me
work
to refer?
together.
Would you like me, of course, would you like me to refer people for this podcast as well?
Please, as many as possible. There's
Sure.
sometimes we'll have quite a few on here. A lot of times we only have two or three. So the more we can get this out, the better. And that's
And
one thing I'm working with Renee on.
what kind of people would you like?
It's different each week, like for you today, and then for next week, for example. Next week is going to be more on untangling communication for empowered leadership and team success. That's with Maria Goratananda.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to be talking about STEM and how that teaches us how things work. But STEAM, when we include arts, it's always about communication. It's always about unity. It's about the ability for us, again, to encourage, inspire, and include each other in what we do. Because too many times, I even speak on the political side, that too much of our parties are subgroups that turn others away. And we can't do that. We need more. I own the domain copartisan.com. We always talk about bipartisan, like a bicycle with two separate
Mm,
wheels.
right,
I talk about copartisan. We
right.
need to get together and work through our problems one step at a time. Listen and dialogue. That's my lid, wid, bid, rid, gid. I talked about it a little bit. Listen and dialogue. Break it down. I'm sorry, listen to dialogue, write it down. Write down what you're listening to, break it down, review its dependencies, get it done. That's how we accomplish so much more in the world today, personally, in relationships, or professionally, in larger relationships, or helping that company grow to be a better company and earn greater income.
Mm, perfect. Um, okay. So if when I know somebody to connect you with, like in terms of the podcast, I'll definitely. But I want to make sure it's a person that's interesting and that can really give value to your audience as well.
Oh,
And I'm
okay. For the podcast, I'm sorry, I come wrong. Let me show you just some things for May and June, for example. That's all about mothers and fathers. If you know strong mothers and fathers that speak on being a mom, spoke on being a mother, I've got two openings in May. In June, which is All Father Month, I've got 4 weeks there. After that, we have an Independence Day. So I'm looking for people who are talking about independence. Uh, the in July is also National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. We'll be talking there. Personal freedom and leadership responsibility also in July. Freedom without direction versus freedom with purpose. How many people are not going like you're talking about? In they have the freedom, but they're not going in the right direction. They don't have freedom with purpose. Where's that purpose? August, National Wellness Month. Preparing the next generation, leadership in the home and education, mental wellness, routines and structure. Self-improvement month comes up in September. I cover all of these things, but it's all based on achieving unity, getting things done, and being able to protect ourselves and our families as well as our businesses to grow forward in profits.
yeah, I'm sure I'll have at least. I'm sure I'll have some people to refer to you for the podcast, and then I'll write to you on LinkedIn. Does that work?
Mhm.
You know,
That'd be
connect each
great.
other. Okay.
I'm on
Awesome.
LinkedIn every day. Absolutely. I
Oh,
also use WhatsApp.
what's that? Okay. I'll do LinkedIn just to keep in the professional sphere or whatever.
LinkedIn's
And then also
perfect.
you said it's going to be out Friday. I think you said our episode,
It'll
right?
be on, yes, it'll be out to YouTube by Friday close of business. Renee is not in, she's outside the United States, so her time zone's a little bit different,
Yeah.
but it'll be out by the end of the day on Friday, her day, and you'll have it sometime on Saturday, Monday, for
Okay,
sure.
so it'll be sent to me as well.
You'll
And
get the
I
link. Yeah, she'll send you the link to the email address that we have for you.
and am I able to use that video, let's say on my social media?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah, you will get the
And
full
then
length of the video and use it, share it with everybody you can.
is there do I have the rights to, like, let's say, chop it if I want? Let's say if there's a 5 minute segment I want to upload, or it might be the whole thing, but I'm saying if there's a 5 minute or there's a
If you
two
can
minute.
use it, yeah, just give credit for the podcast. But yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
If you want to
sorry.
take a 1 minute or 5 minute, just give credit to the podcast itself.
Okay,
But yeah, I say here's 5 minutes out of our podcast with the Achieving Unity Leadership System. Yeah, absolutely.
okay,
Take a
okay.
minute here, a minute there, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, 6 minutes, whatever it might be.
Yeah, yeah, whatever it
Use
is.
it to build your business and growth. But just make sure and say in there,
Of
Achieving
course.
Unity Leadership System. That'd
Okay,
be
perfect.
beautiful.
Perfect, perfect. That's wonderful. Perfect. Okay, cool. We'll go from there then.
Giovanni, thank you. Have any questions? Let me know. We'll continue working together, and I'm sure I'll see you at all these other meetings.
I will. We will definitely will.
All
Thank you,
right.
Mark. Talk
Make your
soon.
day awesome.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you, Renee.